Enderberg skal vinne! Rising! I steal!
The world is ending, and as the last Viking clans of this Nordic world, we must get glory before it's too late. So let's let eat your soul run red with the blood of your enemies, or you can have your own units die to go to Valhalla for points yourself, all within 3 ages where you're drafting cards. So, life is fleeting, but glory is eternal. So now is the time to rage for 2 to 4 players. Blood rage. So here's how this bloodbath works. We're all Viking clans. We got the Bear clan right here. And the goal is glory. You want to get as many of these victory points as possible before the game ends. Now there's 3 main ways to do this. You can either win battles, or you can max out these clan stats here, or you can fulfill these quests that ask you to get the most influence in certain areas. But remember, this game is and say it with me now, an Eric M. lane game. So this is full of those Eric M. langisms where you sometimes want to kill your own units to get points. So there's going to be cards that you can play on your clan that will tell you that if you send your soldiers to Valhalla, which is a graveyard, well, sometimes you can profit off that. Actually, these cards right here, yeah, this is the meat of the game, where you'll be drafting these cards, which can give you the quests we talked about, these crazy combat bonuses, or these permanent upgrades for your clan. Or they can give you these huge monsters with their own abilities. So you're going to be drafting these. You're going to be drafting 6 cards. And then once you finish that, you do your normal turn of 1 action, like spawning units, moving them, signing up for quests, or playing upgrades. And this mostly costs rage, which is kind of like mana that is spent to do things. But you know what's free? Starting fights. Do a pillage where you attempt to ravage the land to get the goodies on your space, but people can move in to stop you from doing so. After everyone is done announcing they're moving, you fight. Just count up your strength, play a combat card from your hand, and the highest value wins. Everyone else just dies. Off to Valhalla they go. If you ask for the pillage to happen, you get that icon bonus on the map. If not, it just stays up. And that's the bare bones of the game. First you draft your cards, and then you play some cards, play some Vikings, spend some rage, have a lot of Viking units just die. And then eventually, when you run out of rage, that means you can't do anything else. You're out of the round, you have to pass. Once everyone passes, that means the round ends. You see who achieved their face down quest they committed to for the round, and then you also destroy a place on the map. Now no one can go there anymore, and then you just draft for the next round. After the 3rd age of this, or 3rd round, then the game ends, and whoever has the most glory has basically lived forever. So now actually on to the review, and oh my gosh, we've gotten so many requests for this game. So here we go with the pros. This game just looks good. This island right here is just very Nordic feeling. You got the nice grass and the rocks, all with these names like Utgard, Horgor, all surrounding this mighty tree in the middle, Yggdrasil. Hopefully I'm saying any of these correctly at all. Right from when you unbox the game, you'll see all these separate minis in their own insert. They really did not skimp on this. Every single clan or color has 2 different types of warriors. One flagship with a distinct leader with a long rod to round it all out. And you've definitely seen these blue monsters. Yeah, we got the smaller ones here in this insert, like the Valkyrie or Soldier of Hell. But the thing that is so eye-catching is in this separate box for the big monsters. Look at that giant stone this guy's holding up, or how this troll is sagging a little. Oh my, look at that huge sea serpent I can just use on the board. Alright, so enough oohing and awing about these minis. You'll get to see them in all sorts of angles throughout this vid. Let's go on to these player boards, which are so clear. This tells you mostly everything you need to know about the game, from how much things cost, how strong they are, your 5 actions here, and also these explanations right here. It also has these really nice slots to put all your upgrade cards, so bam, that was easy. And there's never any confusion on how many you can have max equipped or what type of warrior upgrade people have, because it's covering up their warrior slot. And these cards are just so easy to identify at a glance, which is very useful for drafting, where there's actually only 3 categories of cards: green for quests, black for upgrades, and red for combat. The names that are also really just get you into it with all these cool Nordic gods, like Odin, Thor, and Loki, next to these fire giants or dark elves. The game just looks good, and visually functions well to get you into this Valhalla dying theme, which, may I mention, is this actual space full of sunshine and rainbows for you to go to in the afterlife. Once you're entranced by this awesome aesthetic, it's just really easy to hop in and start playing fast. The rulebook is very clearly laid out with helpful tips and a nice summary on the back. For your first game, it will quickly tell you to play a non-drafting first age, which is really nice to get you into the thick of the fun. Oh, and then we got this nice sideboard, which clearly tells you the sequence for every round. You know, we always push for a fact in games, but really, even with all the cards, this game doesn't really need one, which is quite shocking in how clear each card is and how well laid out the rulebook is. Now let's get on to the gameplay pros. The bread and butter of this Viking madness is these cards from these 3 ages. Now there's a good fun variety in these. The only things that truly repeat are the battle cards and quest cards, which are supposed to be simple anyways. The fun one is these black upgrade cards that never truly repeat. Sure, they can follow a certain theme and mirror each other a bit, but the fact is that these upgrade cards, these black ones, are all different. These upgrades that you just plop down like boop to upgrade any of your figures or your overall clan just start revealing the many layers that this game has. There's the oh so inevitable Eric M. Langisms of getting points by having your own units die. Yeah, let's just throw these all in here. Look at all those. But you're not just this one-dimensional masochist, so you might want to upgrade your strongest unit, your leader, who always spawns in for free. And now he has a new bonus. Or how about the Thor's Glory upgrade, to gain glory whenever you kill enemy figures. There's even this guy who will even straight up give you another action to use. There's a handful of abilities that will start twisting the rules for you too, like letting you pillage right away after invading somewhere. Or Frigga's Charm, all of your upgrade cards now cost you 1 less rage to play. Wow, that's incredibly efficient. Or the other Frigga card, you can pay to prevent your figures from dying. And we gotta talk about the big monsters, which are upgrade cards of themselves. These guys are equally tempting to take, as when you play them as an upgrade, they immediately spawn on the board, no extra action required. Some have immediate abilities, like this freaking huge troll, who just kills all other warriors in the region he spawns in. Man, that's a big swing. Or this Valkyrie, who will net you a lot of points if you set her up for a big fight. Or there's this other big sea serpent that acts like a ship, but is stronger, and now you can have 2 ships on the board. One of my favorite is actually this little guy, this tiny dwarf chieftain. You see, he doesn't really have an interesting ability, but he's free. Free to play the card, free to invade with him if he dies, and you get him back in the next age. So he's so efficient at 2 strength. And he's basically just free fodder to send to Valhalla if I want to send him there. But that's just the cards by themselves. The fun really starts coming in with the combos. There's plenty of them, giving you these new paths to score more points, or to get advantage on the board, or to just win fights, because that feels good. Okay, so how about this early clan upgrade, Frigga's Succor? Whenever you invade, you can just invade with another warrior for free. This is just great on its own. But how about combining it with Brothers in Arms, where each pair of your warriors is actually 3 strength instead of 2. So your one move just gave you 3 strength in a region instead of 1. Here's a simple one using Tyr's Prowess that lets you keep a revealed card if you win a battle. Well, why not just combine this with the strongest card +6 to just keep +6ing and winning fights again and again? And remember those Langisms to intentionally lose fights, because maybe you have this quest card that is this beautiful rainbow that tells your warriors to just hurry up and die and go to Valhalla because glory. Loki is 100% your guy, or god here. Play Loki's trickery to give you no strength bonus, but when you lose, you steal that precious rage from your opponent. Oh, and look, you had Loki's blessing played before, where if you lost the battle, you can invade that place with the warrior for free. It's like frustrating your opponents, where your warriors just become this game of whack-a-mole where you're constantly losing fights and more warriors just keep coming out. Or how about this card, Frigga's Domain, that you can pay 1 rage to revive anyone from Valhalla and just spawn them on the board right away. That means invading with them. So not only can your leader just suddenly come back, but combine this with monsters to just flip the board state. You killed my frost giant that I paid 4 rage for? Nope, he's back at the cost of 1 rage. Or let's just bring back this crazy fire giant, because anytime he's spawned, he just goes brah and kills everything on that space that isn't monsters. This is just nasty, and you're probably gonna want to have him die again and again to invade with him again and again. So when all these cards are being used from age to age, every single clan will start to become different. You all start out the same, but there's this emergent asymmetry that just gets pronounced as you keep playing these distinct cards for your clans. Maybe now your warriors or leaders feel different, and then you have some cool clan ability that's right here. The extremes typically are one guy wants to lose all his battles, and another guy wants to win all of his battles and establish board control because maybe he drafts the Idrisil Dominance quest. This just goes into the draft that you'll be doing every round, where in rounds 2 and 3, you'll be actively drafting against your opponents to slow down their card synergies as much as possible. Like, you really don't want to have these Loki bonuses stack, because otherwise, losing battles can be crazy good for that one clan. Yeah, if that guy already wants his units to die, let's not give him this quest that rewards him for losing units. That's it for the cards for now. Let's get onto the board. Namely, let's talk about the bloodshed that's going on. Blood Rage is made so alive and gory through something called the pillaging mechanic. This is an attempt with one of your figures to try to get a goodie. And when you attempt it, when you say, I'm gonna try to pillage, the board can go into mayhem. Anyone who is adjacent to this region can just move in, following turn order. So, oh shoot, wait a second, so this space actually wasn't that safe to begin with. Let's zoom out. You'll notice that this island is one big center area connected to everything else. So chances are, if you try to pillage, there will be someone to stop you in larger player counts. There's always that question. Even if they're adjacent, will they actually want to move in? What figure are they moving in? How will they respond to other people moving in? So chances are you are going to be fighting someone because people are incentivized to win battles to stop you from pillaging. Or of course, they just want to fling their soldiers to Valhalla by sandbagging. This just gets into how combats can be exhilarating for how simple they are. First off, it's super easy to calculate everything. Things are just between 1 and 4 strength, then everyone just plays 1 card from their hand. Oh, wait, but hold on. Oh, there was that draft earlier. Hey, I can kind of know what people have in their hand. And then me. But I don't know precisely everything because we drafted face down. Oh man, that's what ties into the tense mayhem here. This is combined with how you don't know if people actually want to win or lose the fight either. And this all gets channeled into this single card that people play. You can even play a quest or plan upgrade face down. It just won't do anything, it's 0. Or there's plenty of combat tricks, like cards that cancel out other people's cards, or force everyone to discard and start over, or cards that reward the losers. These make even seemingly one-sided fights have weight, as you don't know if someone will negate your card, then whip out a +6 with a +2 rider to just kill all your guys. Anyways, due to how simple this is, you'll find a winner very soon. But the winner is the only one that actually discards their cards, which means that everyone else gets to keep their cards, which is more information to now play around. Plus, the losers keeping their cards that maybe gave them a benefit means they can just keep doing this sneaky, intentionally losing thing over and over again. But here's the real sneaky part about combat. You have to play a card if you're actually in there. And if you win, you have to discard it. So this forces you to be pretty careful with fighting, where you don't want to be forced into a combat where you don't want to play a card. Blood Rage just wants you to constantly fight to have this tense card flip happen again and again, provided that there's still spaces on the board to ravage and pillage. You get points for winning combats, so yeah, let's just start some fights. Or you get points for fulfilling this quest that asks you to dominate a region, so yeah, maybe you just want to kick people off of the region you're trying to get. Or you also get the benefits off of pillaging a region. So that's a permanent clan stat that you get. You increase that forever. Now let's get to this famous region, Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil? I hope I'm saying that right. Anyways, this reward is one of each clan stat if you win. One of each. So this is going to be a big bash that you want to compete over, and there's no spaces for figures like these guys. So this can just be a huge bash where everyone fights. It is in the center, so it's connected to everything else. So chances are, this is just going to be a huge fight, which also doubles as a nice way to just kill off tons of your own soldiers. See, you can't normally spawn in Yggdrasil, so you have to spawn somewhere else, then move there first. But if you move in off of someone else's pillaging attempt and then win that fight, you now control the center of the world. You are now connected to every single region. That's insane map presence. To be the king of the hill is this pivotal moment in Ages where people say, well, why not? I'll just send a bunch of my units to die. Or why not? I think I can mount a comeback right now. With all the fighting and trying to find out people's intentions and counterplaying them through the draft by looking at other people's upgrades, there's lots of interaction in Blood Rage. You just feel constantly linked to other players on the map because of the pillaging system. Because, well, mobility is so easy. When someone else does a pillage action, you get to move your figures on their turn to their region. So you can just clog up an area so no one else can move in, but that can always get interrupted by a ship here. You can't stop that. Your options just entirely stop when you run out of rage, where you have to end your turn and you can't do any more actions. So rage is very important to keep track of in your opponent, which is basically reflecting the pacing of rounds. There's fun ways to stall to help you buy time, like playing quests face down to the actual pillaging, because that doesn't cost rage, but it can end up vastly hurting you if not timed right. Oftentimes, you're thinking about pillaging before your opponents get too strong, or trying to play upgrades to get your point engine in motion, or just trying to bother opponents by putting some warriors on the board. This gets to the pillaging dynamic frequently looking like this. Yeah, so I'll just pillage. Oh yeah, dude, you should move in actually. Okay, so I'll move in if you move in, so then, yeah, I mean, you don't have a quest, right, for that area? Come on, just move out, man. You guys are just so scared to fight me. I only have one guy, come on. Yeah, so let's say I don't move in, and then you don't move in, and you know, we can let him have one for free, it's fine. Are you guys sure on moving? Because then I'm gonna move in, and you know what, when I move my guys in, you can just play your low combat card. You know what my guys like to do, okay? Yeah, let's just fill up the spaces so we can't kill his own dudes. Oh yeah, I'll move a warrior. Screw those Loki cards, man. Real important though, when the last pillaging token gets flipped over, the round immediately ends. So yeah, this is actually a cool counterplay to people trying to stall, which is you just pillage like crazy and just ravage the land and make sure the round ends really fast. Now for the progression, where this game ramps up the epicness of battles and the point payouts for everything. First off, the world is crumbling, so these places are going to get slowly destroyed by the end of each age, where Ragnarok just blows up a place, you can't go there anymore. Now there's just fewer places to pillage and dominate for quests, making the game feel more and more frantic. This destruction only happens for these figures on this space too, so these armies are going to stay on the board to fight in the next round, and everything here in Valhalla just resets and goes back to people's reinforcements to use them later, including all of the unlocked monsters. And your clan itself will keep getting upgraded as you move up these marks, so maybe you'll have more rage to use next round, which is potentially more actions, or you get more points for winning combat, or you can just have more units on the board for bigger fights. The point payout for things just increase everywhere actually. From the upgrade cards, the quests, to Ragnarok where you get points for guys dying on that destroyed space, all the way to even the clan stats. Yep, these clan stats eventually give you plus 20 points. Wow, that's plus 60 points if you're able to max out all of these. This makes the conflict for getting pillages in every age important. There's just only so many pillages you can do, with less regions to pillage as the game goes on. These large, later point payouts mean comeback potential, and so stragglers are continually invested and want to just throw themselves back into this hectic arena. Everyone is just guaranteed to be getting stronger from these upgrades, and these quests, being fairly easy to complete, mean that there's always an alternative to pillaging if you find yourself losing a lot of battles, because these, when attained, will actually move up your clan stats as well. This all leads to these climactic fights, usually at Yggdrasil, to see what happens. Maybe you want to achieve that final quest to move yourself up by 1 and get some more points, or you really need that Yggdrasil pillage to move yourself up by 1 for every single thing to get yourself to that plus 20 points. That's a big difference. There's all this interaction, all these abilities with all these cool minis and monsters, with all this progression with the cards, all in the game with actually non-fiddly bookkeeping. Blood Rage has very smooth bookkeeping throughout the game. You're never adding tokens to the board during rounds, and for your player board, all you're really doing is adding cards sometimes in the slots, and then just moving down your rage to pay for things. When you actually do stuff on the board with tokens, all you're doing is just flipping it over. And then you just move over the same icon here, up by 1, your clan stat. The game just tends to flow very well, because on your turn, you just play 1 card, or you move or spawn a dude, or you can point to a place and say, "Me want to fight." Then combat is just flipping over 1 single card. Loser just simply grabs all the minis by the head and plops them in Valhalla. This cleanliness of everything tends to make the game run very true to 1 hour or 1.5 hours once you get the cards down. Sometimes you don't have to bother with spawning units as much in later rounds if you already have them on the board, so you can just immediately pillage and the action just keeps going. Things just don't drag because you'll run out of rage or places to pillage. And even though there is more complexity in later ages, the smaller map means there's just less fights, less pillaging. Replayability. There's decent replayability. There's different regions on the map that are gonna get destroyed from game to game, so what about a game where all of the orange northern parts of the map are destroyed halfway through the game? And then these pillage tokens get randomized, so those will be slightly different, except for Yggdrasil, that's always this massive payout here. As for the meat of the game, the cards themselves, you won't see every card every game, and there is just a good amount of strategy here to mix and match with. To wrap up the high praise, we want to say that this Viking theme here just meets the gameplay really well. Like, it's all about just Vikings, man. Just blood, rage, fight. That's this game. You definitely want to keep fighting. You just want to fight to get advantage in this game, which means glory for these fantastical people. Each Viking clan just ends up feeling a little different throughout the game, whether you now have masters at arms, you've upgraded to that, or you've managed to commandeer this sea serpent who is now ravaging the seaside of Eliugar. Hopefully I'm saying that. You're assisted by the 6 gods of the mythos, from Heimdall to Loki. Look cool by winning a lot, or look cool by dying a lot. or just asserting your dominance in the middle of the board. For a game called Blood Rage, you are literally spending your rage to send these blood frenzied warriors to spill even more blood as the world just crumbles apart. Who cares? We just want glory. So now it is time for the cons of Blood Rage. You know what, we couldn't find anything substantial here, so let's just keep moving on. So now on to the nitpicks. We mentioned larger player counts in the pros, where the cool stuff happens, because this game tends not to do that well at 2. Yes, the game does scale the board for 2 players well, and also it takes out some of these cards for the 2 players. Wait, but then hold on, you're taking out all of these really cool monsters, so that's not worth it to buy this game for 2 players. Now for the board in 2 players, it really has that issue where if one guy plays a unit, the other guy just has to place a unit to contest him. Otherwise, the first guy gets a free pillage. In bigger groups, there'd be multiple opponents that could contest. Or how about when combat actually happens, and it's winner take all? So the loser just loses a lot of map control. With there just being one other component, the winner fights can kind of just snowball around the map, pillaging with their bigger army. For this game, all about Viking Rage madness, with its lots of movement and hectic battles, it's clear that this game was meant for a crowd and larger. 3 is good to unlock the cool monsters, but the game really does shine at 4. That way you can just have more varied strategies butting heads on the map. Like then the losing combat strategy becomes more accessible since you can funnel your losses to more people to split up those combat rewards. Let's talk about the pacing. It can be too fast sometimes. Remember how these regions are getting destroyed after the end of every age? Well, by the time you get to age 3, you won't have that many regions left to actually fight on. So while each fight is more climactic with more to gain, there's just not as much of it going on later. This goes with the pillaging thing, where age 3 can end so fast if everything just gets pillaged right away. This can feel poopy when you can't play all the cool quests you drafted or the upgrades to get the cool combos with the earlier cards, or even the age 3 monsters. This pacing actually runs opposite to the idea of upgrading Rage, with the idea that you'll get to upgrade it to spend for more actions later. But this actually isn't always the case, because rounds can end if everything is pillaged before you use all your Rage. And with less regions, sometimes the relevant spaces you want to spawn in have all been unit capped. So playing figures, the primary way to spend Rage, just feels inefficient, so you might not be able to spend all your Rage here. Rage is still worth upgrading in general, even if you don't spend it though, because it gives you points late game. This Rage spending nitpick just goes to show how these clan upgrades are as much as point generators as they are actual upgrade. And the age pacing is just fast, to not really be able to use them to their full extent consistently. Okay, next nitpick, this game is just doing that thing of over-sexualizing women. There's this serpent clan, and then there's this dark elf, and then there's this witch that these are definitely not getting combat bonuses from their armor. So let's talk about the serpent clan because it's definitely more front and center, with the minis having some of this problem. The clan art isn't something you'll be looking at frequently, you actually tend to look at the cards and actual board more, but this is still something someone can see right away, and that can leave a really sour first impression. And maybe sure, this art is a little small, don't worry, they did a fine job of reprinting it much bigger on the side of the box. Last nitpick, this game does a good job of organizing all the minis and even the cards with the insert, but you'll need some plastic bags to organize all the little clan pieces. Then, once you get 4 of these, you're good to go. And we found that by putting these right underneath this big mini tray, everything just fits perfectly. Now onto the recommender score, where we try to critically evaluate the game given the aforementioned pros and cons. And Blood Rage is gonna get a 10 out of 10! It's a masterpiece! You done it! Eric Amling, you done it. Blood Rage just has what's going on this box cover. It's all about tons of killing in this brutal Nordic world. It's a relatively fast game, very influenced by each round's draft.
which is a fun phase for counterplay and just has more spice with all the card combos. A good draft won't auto-win you the game by any means, because you still need to play well on this crazy dynamic board. There's continual adapting as clans attempt to pillage, and all sorts of warriors, clan leaders, and mythical monsters run across regions to fight. Every single turn is extremely streamlined, and there's that constant conflict of map control versus timing upgrades versus just stalling to control your rage. So even though all the cards have these differing abilities, Blood Rage is just not intimidating for newcomers, and just hop aboard this all-express train to Valhalla. But hey, if you're looking for some deep game, Blood Rage probably isn't it. See, first off, it's not really an area control game, despite all the quests that seem to interact with this idea. These quests just don't ask for that much domination. You can just grab dominance of a color by sneaking onto one corner of the map after pillage happens and no one wants to be there. And of course, wanting to actively lose fights and soldiers for this quest doesn't help with this area control idea. Or you could just choose not to draft quests at all. There's a constant adaptation and getting new cards for upgrades, so much of it that Blood Rage can feel a little bit like going with the flow. You just can't start games with an initial strategy because you have no idea what your draft hands are going to be. And maybe you're not even cemented on some type of strategy until a 3rd through age 2's draft. This tends to go hand in hand with how scoring in early ages doesn't matter nearly as much as the last age, where scoring payouts can be 2 to 3 times as much. But this is bashy fun, where this crazy adaptation tends to keep stragglers invested. And that just makes sense, how as the world is frantically ending, even the stragglers want to just keep fighting over more points at stake. And look, the pillaging mechanic literally means that people get to move on other people's turns. So that's a very dynamic board that can just lead quest plans astray. If you want a game with even pacing, Blood Rage is not for you. Now let's get into the draft, which is streamlined, but that has some consequences. See, you're actually not drafting that many cards in this game, only 6 per age, which is 18 cards. But many of these cards can do really cool things, even just by themselves. So there is swinginess, where you can snag the right card under the right conditions, and say you saw that card in your initial drafting hand for that age. Now you get the card, no one can stop you from getting that, and now you have a nice advantage, just like that. Like, how about getting Masters in Arms in age 3, when you already had a bunch of warriors on the board from age 2? Well, now you're really ahead, as each pair of warriors is 6 strength. Okay, let's move on to this high risk, high reward late game card, Odin's Throne, which doubles the glory for your quests. This card invites fun counterplay in the draft, where you can deny someone quests if you think they draft it. But not every card will be in your game's pool of draftable cards, so you never really know if someone's going to take Odin's Throne off their opening hand. So if Serpent Clan picks it face down immediately, well, no one knows they have it, so you can't choose to deny them quests. In larger player counts, these power imbalances from the draft can get smoothed out from politics. Remember that you can basically just fight anyone else in a snap. Looking at the first player marker and seeing who will go first next round is especially important for this. Plus, if you see someone playing a lot of quests face down in the last age, they probably have Odin's Throne, okay? The draft does lean more towards this casual space where, even though you want competence to draft away strong combos, wacky, lucky hands can happen. But again, these don't break the game because they're still possible to play around in larger player counts. So don't go into this game set on a deep draft or with the normal area control in mind, just go in with the idea of quick interactive fighting. It's all about Viking Mini's death fueled by some cards. This game feels like a blockbuster movie hit where there's constant action, great visuals for a fun theme, but just can't go too deep into any of its features because of how fast it is. And with that, this game is accessible, with drip-fed asymmetry for many types of strategies, and then you can do the clean battles and constant moving as the world just crumbles around you. Blood Rage is a fantastic set for people who want something next after these gateway games, and then are okay with something with lots of killing. Then you can just hop into your non-draft first age and get ready for the drafting later on as you see all the cards and the light bulbs start going off from seeing all the synergies, and then you realize how dynamic combat and movement is, and then, well, you got a nice drafting minis game that doesn't run long, but lifespans are short. So now that we've reviewed Blood Rage and Ankh, now what about our sponsor for today's video, Boxu, this premium Japanese snack subscription service? Daniel, let's try some. Oh.
This is good. Oh my god. This is like not even scripted. This is just great. Like, I'd recommend this.
Huh. Whoa. Whoa. Dude, this is like really crispy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of other stuff in the box too, not just this. You get variety of Japanese snacks.
I've tried more of this box and I am actually impressed. Like you can see I've saved this to eat later because I thought it was so good. And I've had a lot of stuff like this before. Like last night I tried this with my family, of which has lots of food industry experience, and the mochi puffs actually impressed my mom, who has really high standards, okay?
This is good, but this one is really, really special.
So if this looks like something up your alley, I would actually recommend taking a look. And I did find it fun just reading through this booklet of explaining what these things are and just sharing with friends and family. Now back to the Daniel part. Use our code Shelfside10 at that link below to get 10% off your own authentic Japanese subscription box from Boxu.
Don't miss out on this flavor-filled adventure through Japan snacks. Oh.
My personal score for Blood Rage is gonna be a 7 out of 10. I have a good time with it. This just made a fantastic first impression on me. Everything just clicked so fast with the theme idea, I like card playing games, and the interaction with my friends was there right away. But hey, I have a good, not great time with it. So then that means Blood Rage is not good enough to make your top 10 you just talked about like 2 to 3 months ago. And yeah, that's right. I played this game a lot since then, and some of the magic has definitely started to wear off. See, in those first couple games, there was all this glee, and just seeing all these fun card combos and trying to play around my friends' emergent strategies. But then after the 5th play or so, yeah, I realized that this game just isn't deep enough for me given its size, and perhaps too fast once everyone gets comfortable with all the mechanics. It's like I can't really do all these super cool quests or upgrades because the board just says go, 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 and that's definitely the idea of this Blood Rage game. And for the cards, they are cool, very clean and to the point, but I actually want more of them. Like how about getting to draft twice for each round to allow for more cards to enter, or age 4 cards to allow for fun stuff. Granted, the game would have to be totally rehauled to make this happen, so that's fine. Okay, now for one that snuck up on me real fast is that the themes started to wash out for me after the 3rd play. It's kind of weird, right? For a game where pillaging is constantly happening and minis are front and center. I forgot we were playing a Viking game sometimes. A big part of this is these clans where there's no starting asymmetry. So even though they're Serpent Clan or Bear Clan or Raven Clan, because of all these upgrades and the monsters, I just end up thinking of them as, oh, this is the orange-yellow player. This is the brown player. And hey, for all the cool that's going on with the dying themes in Valhalla, maybe I'm just getting a little burnt out of having to play with or around units just wanting to constantly die. And I thought this was funny at first, but it's starting to get a little bit cheesy. And then the speed of this game just made it feel like the cool elements didn't have that much time to breathe. So while dying for Valhalla using Loki or dominating battles through Thor is cool, the game is so blazing fast that I tend not to think about those things. I'm upgrading my clan stats, which feels cool, but I'm rarely using them to their full potential. Wait, but Ashton, these sound like rough points. Are you sure you still like this game? Yes, I do. And this game is just so easy to get into with lots of interaction that I just can't fault it too hard for all these gripes I'm talking about. It's not something I would play with the more serious-minded Root gaming group, but why not have a cool Viking game on hand to play with friends and family, of which some of have never drafted before and find this drafting very easy to grasp. So once again, thank you for Boxu for sponsoring this video. If you want to help out the channel, grab a Boxu box, check out the thing in the description below. 10% off, it helps the channel. Big shout out to our patrons as well, of which many have requested a review of this game. So we got Manuel G, Brian C, Clifford H, Aaron W, Max B, Bora, Jeremy MC, Charlie P, Quinton S, MS, Travis R, Alvin Y, Bombs K, Ryan D, Jennifer L, Brett M, Matt G, Peter Z, Spin 71, Ryan J, Brad G, Tiamo Period, Mark A, James B, James M, Evan B, Charles B Jr., Josh A, Basbar, Rado, Sophie, Reiner Z, Colin Allen, Hudson T, Pearson B, Omar F, MY, Ethan P, Bradley J, John C, Galvin V, Dirk S, Andy C, XS Co, Alex L, Rob R, Sendo22, Dave F, Josh R, Pat, and Cyril C. Whew, we also got 2 Mad Lads of cardboard. We got ZL and Jeff L. We got that guy right there. We also got 1 Mad Lady of cardboard. We got Amy. Thank you guys so much for your support. If you want to join our Patreon, we got a link in the description below. We got a Discord too. Hang out, talk, all that cool board game stuff. So that was Blood Rage. We finally brought it out to you guys. Remember to like and subscribe for more board game stuff. See you guys later. Bye-bye.